Kia ora, Year 12 and Year 11. This video is going to go through question 2A, B and C from the 2022 Algebra paper. So we're given solutions to a quadratic equation and we're told that the solutions are 1/3 and -2/7. We're asked to find the values of the integers A, B and C so that the quadratic is written in this form. So if a quadratic has got these two solutions, that means that either one of those values will make the quadratic have the value 0. So x is equal to 1/3 or x is equal to -2/7. Rewriting that, we get 3x equals 1 or 7x equals -2. 3x take away 1 equals 0 or 7x plus 2 equals 0. So those are going to be the two factors of my quadratic. So we're just about finished. And now all I have to do is to expand this out because I'm asked for the values of A, B and C. So we've got 21x squared minus 7x plus 6x minus 2 is equal to 0. That gives me 21x squared minus x minus 2 is equal to 0. So A is 21, B is -1, and C is equal to -2. So all we're doing with this question is we're working backwards from what we did back in year 10, right? So in year 10, you'd be told to, for example, to factorize a quadratic equation. So if you were told to factorize 21x squared minus x minus 2 is equal to 0, what we're doing when we do that is we're getting it into factorized form, and then we'll end up with x is equal to 1/3 or x is equal to -2/7. So in this question, we're just going the other way around. We're starting from the two solutions and we're working our way back up to get integer coefficients on our quadratic. Hopefully most of you found that question pretty straightforward. I'm pretty sure that one's going to be an achieve tick. Okay, so will the next one be, what is the discriminant of this quadratic equation here? 2x squared minus 12x plus 7. So the discriminant is b squared minus 4ac, and in this case we've got a is 2, b is -12, and c is 7. So b squared will be 144 minus 4 times 2 times 7. Just be careful that when we square the negative we get a positive. What does it give me? 144 minus 56, which is 88. Now remember, the discriminant is giving us information about how many roots the quadratic has got. So if we have a discriminant that is strictly greater than 0, then the quadratic's got 2 roots. If the discriminant, so that's the discriminant is greater than 0, if the discriminant is exactly equal to 0, then we've got exactly 1 root. Ugh, bad drawing. Okay, so it just touches the axis. I'm going to delete that picture because it's so bad. And then the last case is where it's negative, right? So we're not asked for any of that in that question. We're just asked to find the discriminant. But that understanding comes in useful for the next part. So suppose that we've got this quadratic and k is a constant. We have to say, for what value will the equation y equals 0 have exactly one solution? So what I'm being asked to do here is to think about sliding that quadratic up and down. So we've got y, which is 2x squared minus, where are we? 2x squared minus 12x plus k. And that has to equal 0. So for one solution, we have to have the discriminant is equal to 0. And b is -12, a is 2, b is -12, and c in this case will be k. So we need to solve b squared minus 4ac is equal to 0. So pretty sure this will be merit. So b squared is -12 squared minus 4 times 2 times k equals 0. 144 minus 8k equals 0. 144 is 8k. K must equal 18. 144 divided by 8. Right, what's the last part we've got to do here? Oh yeah, we have to solve this equation. So we've got a square root thing here. on one side equaling 3x. Now, these are not usually done in level 2. I've got to say I was a little bit surprised to see this here. But if you've got a good understanding of square roots and you know that you always should check whether something really is a solution, then you should be good with this one. So solving this, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to square both sides of the equation, and then I'm going to take a look at what I've got. And then it's actually not too bad. So we've got this, the square root of this thing is equal to 3x. Looks awful, so let's square both sides. So when we square a square root, if you think about it, if we've got the square root of 7 and we square that, then we get back to 7. It's the same idea here. When we square this, we get 2x plus 3, and we have to do the same thing to both sides of the equation. Be careful that when I square 3x, I'm squaring not just the x, but also the 3. So we get 2x plus 3 is equal to 9x squared. And suddenly we're back looking at what's kind of a level 1 quadratic. We're going to make everything equal 0 and solve. We get 9x squared minus 2x minus 3. So you can do a little bit of playing around with this and see if it will work if we've got grouping, if we use grouping, but sadly it won't, right? Because we want two numbers that times to give me negative 27. And the only nice numbers there are going to be 9 and 3, or negative 9 and negative 3, but they don't have a gap of 2, right? So grouping is not going to work here. So we're going to have to use the quadratic formula. Now I've done this showing all my working. So we get x is equal to negative b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac over 2a. That gives me 2, positive 2, because b is negative 2. 2 plus or minus b squared, 4, minus 4 times 9 times negative 3. Right, so I'm just picking off the coefficients here. Remember, when you're starting out with these, do lots of examples where you actually write out the a, the b, and the c. But in here, what do we have? Well, we have in here square root of 112, which is not a particularly nice number. You could go through and get an exact answer. So if you're watching this in my Cambridge class, that's what you need to be able to do. But for NCEA, it's fine to say that x is equal to negative 0.4768 or x is equal to 0.6990. And both of those are going just to 4 decimal places. You could go to 3. 3 would be fine too. Now, what we have to do now, though, is to make sure that they both work. Right, so remember where we started. We started out with trying to solve this. So I guess we're going to write down, are these valid? In other words, do they both solve the equation that we want them to solve? And often when you're working with surd equations, it turns out that one of them isn't really going to be a solution. So I'm going to substitute this value in and see what I get on the left-hand side, and then see if it matches up on the right-hand side. So let's start off with x is equal to this one here. Square root of 2 times negative 0.4768 plus 3. What did I get? I got 1.988. Right, so the square root of that, you can work it out, it's going to be a positive number. But you can see that x being negative is going to give me a negative number on the right-hand side. So the left-hand side is not going to equal the right-hand side, and x is equal to negative 0.4768 is not a solution. So we can check the other one now, and the other one does work. So let's try x is equal to 0.699. When we substitute that in, on the left-hand side, we get this. Now, I did this, but I stupidly didn't write down what came out of my calculator. Let me just have a wee look. I want to say that number was 2.07, but we get whatever number it is. I suspect that no one is actually still watching anyway, but if you are, then this is what you're going to do. You work out the left-hand side and you get one number. And then you make it really clear that those two things are the same, so we have found a solution. So there you go. So that's question 2, A, B, and C done. Haven't seen the schedule yet. I think those questions are probably all merit questions, although, as I said, it's kind of a bit mean putting that 2C in a level 2 algebra paper. Right, I will do question 1 later on today or maybe tomorrow. Thanks for watching.